Today's Daily McGonagall is the Albion Battleship Calamity. It was in the year of 1898, and on the 21st of June, the launching of the battleship Albion caused a great gloom amongst the relatives of many persons who were drowned in the River Thames, which their relatives will remember while life remains. The vessel was christened by the Duchess of York, and the spectators' hearts felt light as cork as the Duchess cut the cord that was holding the fine ship. Then the spectators loudly cheered as the vessel slid down the slip. The launching of the vessel was very well carried out, while the guests on the stands cheered without any doubt, under the impression that everything would go well. But alas, instantaneously, a bridge and staging fell. Oh, little did the Duchess of York think that day that so many lives would be taken away at the launching of the good ship Albion. But when she heard the catastrophe, she felt woebegone. But accidents will happen without any doubt, and often the cause thereof is hard to find out. And according to report, I've heard people say, 'twas the great crowd on the bridge caused it to give way. Just as the vessel entered the water, the bridge and staging gave way, immersing some 3,000 people, which caused great dismay amongst the thousands of spectators that were standing there, and in the faces of the bystanders were depicted despair. And then the police boats instantly made for the fatal spot, and with the aid of dockyard hands several people were got, while some scrambled out themselves, the best way they could, and most of them were the inhabitants of the neighbourhood. Part of them were the wives and daughters of the dockyard hands, and as they gazed upon them, they in amazement stands, and several bodies were hauled up quite dead, which filled the onlookers' hearts with pity and dread. One of the first rescued was a little baby, which was conveyed away to the mortuary, and several were taken to the fitters' shed and attended to there by the firemen and several nurses with the greatest care. Meanwhile, heart-rending scenes were taking place, while the tears ran down many a mother and father's face that had lost their children in the River Thames, which they will remember while life remains. Oh, heaven, it was horrible to see the bodies laid out in rows, and as fathers and mothers passed along, adown their cheeks the tears flows, while their poor sickly hearts were throbbing with fear. A great crowd had gathered to search for the missing dead, and many strong men broke down because their hearts with pity bled, as they looked upon the distorted faces of their relatives dear, while adown their cheeks flowed many a silent tear. The tenderest sympathy, no doubt, was shown to them by the kind-hearted police and firemen. The scene, in fact, was most sickening to behold, and enough to make one's blood run cold. To see tear-stained men and women there, searching for their relatives, and in their eyes a pitiful stare. There's one brave man in particular I must mention, and I'm sure he's worthy of the people's attention. His name is Thomas Cook, of number 6 Percy Road, Canning Town, whose name ought to be Prosperity handed down, because he leapt into the River Thames and heroically did behave, and rescued 5 persons from a watery grave. Mr. Wilson, a young electrician, got a terrible fright when he saw his mother and sister dead. He was shocked at the sight, because his sister had not many days returned from her honeymoon, and his countenance, alas, there was a sad gloom. Her Majesty sent a message of sympathy to the bereaved ones in distress. The Duke and Duchess of York have sent 25 guineas, I must confess, and £1,000 from the directors of the Thames Ironwork and Shipbuilding Company, which I hope will fill the bereaved ones' hearts with glee. And in conclusion, I will venture to say that accidents will happen by night and by day, and I will say without any fear, because to me it appears quite clear, that the stronger we our houses do build, the less chance we have of being killed. That's very typical McGonagall. I'm not really sure how much money is going to fill the hearts of the survivors' relatives with glee, but, well, I only thought it would. I don't know. I'll be back with more tomorrow.